to The Bridge TV, the voices of emerging communities. I'm your host, Dorinda Angelucci. Today, I am with Rabbi Mendy Mirocznik. He is the chairperson and the voice of our community with religion and social services. Good morning.
Good morning.
You have such a big arsenal of respect and programs in this community. Please share with our community some of the programs that you're ahead of.
First, I want to say that everything began here at the Bridge. I remember when our esteemed leader, Mark Appel, introduced us to the late Congressman John Lewis, and how John Lewis was teary-eyed and said, this is what civil rights is all about. We're bringing the communities together as one. It all started with the Bridge. Mark leaned on all of us, he encouraged all of us, and besides the Bridge activity, I am proud to be involved with several community groups.
Yes.
Let's start at home. At home, I am the president of the Council of Jewish Organizations, COJO of Staten Island, which is the umbrella organization that unites the Jewish community. Nearly every synagogue, every school, every Jewish organization on the borough is a member of COJO. We have delegates, we come together on a consensus for the Jewish community. We host legislative breakfasts, all types of forums.
Stay right there. Not to minimize that. That is beautiful. But I know for sure you guys do more than that.
I'm getting there.
I know,
I'm getting
this
there.
is big.
I'm getting there. Besides the forums, we also are very actively involved, thanks to Mark's encouragement, with interfaith dialogue.
Beautiful.
I work hand in hand. I'll give you a couple examples with Reverend Dr. Terry Troya, who is the president of Project Hospitality. I work very closely with Imam Dr. Tahir Kukai. We worked also very closely with Reverend Bishop, with the Bishop Victor Allen Brown from Mount Sinai. We also work very closely with Reverend Pastor Dimitri Carolina, who is from Central Light. We also work, just to name a few, we're also very close with Reverend Alfred Correra, who's also MTA police chaplain.
Love it.
So in Staten Island, we constantly speak with each other, we're in dialogue with each other, and we're constantly working with each other. Whether it's, God forbid, Australia,
right.
A horrible example when a mosque was under attack.
Yes.
Or whether it was Buffalo, a horrible shooting that took place. Right. Or whether it's Colorado, when our friends from various communities are affected, we stand together as one. On the steps of Borough Hall, steps of a mosque or a church or synagogue, we come together. We also work closely with the District Attorney of Staten Island, Michael McMahon, who has formed the Hate Crimes Task Force. My CEO and Executive Vice President of COJO, Mr. Scott Morris, serves as the chair of that committee. And we work in that way with law enforcement to spread the message that hate against one person, one group, is hate against all of us.
We just did a very big piece on the hate crimes initiative out of Borough Hall. And just seeing how they get in the ground, one-to-one with the community. You're a part of that particular task force?
In Staten Island.
In Staten Island. You're the Staten Island division of the task force, the hate crime task force.
Well, the hate crime task force that we're referring to is probably NYPD. And that hate crime task force works together with every district attorney.
Understood.
But District Attorney McMahon has formed his own hate crimes task force where he convenes various groups together. We had a meeting last Thursday night in his office, and we discuss what has to be discussed. Mm-hmm. So besides working with the district attorney, we also work among ourselves.
Yeah.
Terry Troy has the Interreligious Coalition. We work together with various groups. We're constantly meeting, constantly discussing. We have been doing this activity as far back as 20 years. And people like Mark Appel, who were originally in Brooklyn, and people like Terry in Staten Island, were doing this at a time when clergy were very skeptical about sitting down with a clergy person from another denomination or sect or group. But that pattern that the advocates such as Mark and Terry have been advocating the last 20 years shows it's workable, it's doable, and it does achieve real results.
What do you think when you guys go out there representing the different religions? What does the community see from that?
I think the community, based upon my experience, is very receptive. What used to be a dream, an aspiration, has become now a reality. I think the community expects us to be standing hand in hand, working hand in hand, and being together united when it comes to issues of love, peace, working against hate and unity. It's no more we are hoping the clergy will be. The expectation right now is we have to be.
We were talking a little bit before about the fact of seeing people and being accustomed to seeing different nationalities and religion as a way of buffering and changing a lot of the hate. Do you think by seeing people with their yarmulkes and different trial experiences kind of lets them kind of resolve their distance to one another?
I'll go a step further. I agree with that assessment. And I also agree with Mayor Adams when our great Mayor Eric Adams suggests that clergy come dressed in their particular clergy outfit to an event. And that's the correct way of handling things. I know, for example, COJO's big social action project, which is sponsored now by the Rabbinical Alliance of America, the REA, runs the project for COJO. It's our food pantry.
Right.
And there's no such thing as proper hunger. Hunger does not discriminate against anybody. It affects everybody. If somebody's hungry from any nationality or any group and they're hungry at night or they're in need, they will feel the hunger pains.
What demographic are you seeing with your, you have, 19 pantries? Let's go back.
We have around a dozen pantries under the COJO network. Our big thing in COJO is we have a pantry since 1975. One of the early pantries in the city. Since around 1980, around that time, we're working very hand in hand with Met Council on poverty, which I have to give a shout out to David Greenfield, Aaron Sipestein, Benjamin Zaints, Jessica Chait, and Rebecca Glass. This is the dream team of pantries, and they're there for us all the time. But the significance about the COJO pantry is we run a very wide gamut. We go from the ultra-Orthodox, the Hasidic population, that's the hottest demographic that's moving into the borough, the newest members of the community, with their particular heightened kosher needs, with the regular kosher needs to the entire diverse populations,
Right.
from West Brighton Projects to the Albanian Cultural Center to you name it. We're involved with giving food relief as best as we can.
For my beautiful audience, can you just give us a short list of what's the difference between kosher and Orthodox foods? Like I'm pretty sure they don't. No, and you can eat all the food, but I don't think they really understand. Or would you share that?
Well, kosher food, the biggest misconception is blessed. All food is blessed by God, our Creator. All food is blessed. Well, kosher means there are certain ritual requirements in the preparation, from slaughtering to preparing it, not mixing various dishes together. You have heightened kosher with more stringent requirements among the more Hasidic, more religious population. And that heightened food, the heightened requirements, is much more difficult to obtain that type of food because that food is for a smaller niche community.
And this is the food meaning that it can't touch milk and blood, and this is the
kosher food. For example, chickens or meat, you can't eat the blood of the chicken. It has to be drained, has to be salted, has to be washed. But as you get more observant, there's sort of additional requirements. And those additional requirements, thank God to Met Council. Wasn't for Met Council, we couldn't meet the need. Meat and milk you can't mix together. You can't even have a glass of milk together with a piece of meat or chicken. There are high requirements. But the heightened kosher requirements that are by the Haredi Hasidic community, those type of food product, it's a smaller market. And unfortunately, Food Bank, who does a wonderful job, and City Harvest does a wonderful job, and shout out to those wonderful agencies.
100%.
There's a short, and that short's picked up at Met Council. And Met Council, unfortunately, so much resources they have, and I wish that Met Council had the ability to do more. Because whenever we call them, they're responsive. The issue is giving them the tools to get the job.
How can they get help? What do they need? Corporate sponsors? What? Everybody's hungry.
I can't speak for Met Council, but I guess I would say that corporations should be sponsoring, should be more corporate sponsorships, and if possible, there should be more government allocations, and there has to be more of an effort, a push to prioritize the need of the more Haredi, the more Hasidic populations that also need to eat. Because hunger pains by a child. My father's a Holocaust survivor. My parents are Holocaust survivors. And the worst thing by them is hunger. My father sees a piece of bread on the floor. He goes berserk. Who wasted that? This could have saved somebody's life. Somebody would not be hungry if they can have that. So by me, when I see food, I see a need, it doesn't discriminate hunger. It strikes all groups of society. No one's immune from it.
Right. Talk a little bit about how the city and how you guys are helping with the asylum seekers, or how are your agencies helping?
COJO's partners and works and supports the efforts of Terry Troy, Reverend Dr. Terry Troy, who's the president of Prep Hospitality. And she took the lead in Staten Island on those seeking
Asylum seekers.
They took the lead on the asylum seekers in Staten Island. In any way our pantry can be of assistance to help with the cause, any way we can lend support, we are there.
Lovely, lovely. We appreciate you guys so much.
Now with the pantries, it's important to note, we have around a dozen pantries that we support, but the goal of COJO is not to own the pantry, to control the pantry. Our goal is to empower communities to have their own leaders and their own representation and their own control. Our job is to give them the food. Our job is to work with them to set up the pantry. They make a decision how the pantry is ran.
Now you guys need volunteers.
Constantly.
What are you looking for? Like, who should volunteer? I mean, everybody wants to run up and do something to help, but what are you really looking for volunteers?
Well, over COVID I've learned we have wonderful retirees who have vast skill sets.
Okay.
Whether retired social workers, retired physicians, retired school teachers, retired secretaries. The life experience that these retirees have, plus their own education, makes them a very valuable resource. And I've always told people, if somebody's retired, and thank God they have the strength, the ability, and they have the willingness to volunteer, and
Do
to
it.
Staten Island, I'm more than happy to take you upon our team COJO. To
Awesome.
help the whole community.
So if I was a person in need, or I am a person in need, and I've watched this, where do I go? Where do I sign up? And do you help with anything else besides, giving me a food basket? Like, what else can I?
You asked a very important question. A food pantry constituent has a whole plethora of issues many times. It's not just with the food. Unfortunately, just scratching the surface of poverty. They can have family issues, they can have mental health issues, they can have medical issues, a whole plethora of problems. So we have in the pantry, our pantry director is Miss Eva Ruvain. She recently we're sharing her now with Private Hospitality. She's working all together with Eva Ruvain, who is the pantry director.
Yes.
She works also with Project Hospitality, and if somebody has a need we discover, Eva helps hook up the person with the services that they need, whether it's domestic violence, which unfortunately rears its head every now and then, or whether it's other issues. Somebody needs something as simple as food stamps or a HEAP application. And through a conversation, you qualify for other benefits or other stuff to make life easier for you to support your family. Eva will point you in the correct direction. Now, COJO is not big enough to handle everything.
Right.
Our pride is the pantry, which unites people. It was during COVID, we had all types of people, even now. We have a distribution, you have the United Nations of people coming, working together. And that's the beauty in this. People from different faiths, different religions, different groups coming together for the purpose of focusing on the human side of things.
How is the mission of giving workers and working papers to the immigrants going to kind of help? Will they be able to work there?
We encourage whoever is here to be allowed to integrate into society and be productive for society. So once you're over here, they'll first take the burden off the city.
Yes.
The city, as it is, up until COVID, was strapped with her own poverty issues, helping the indigent out. The SLE seekers seeking working papers would remove that burden
100%.
by allowing them first their own self-esteem, and besides self-esteem, giving them a chance to make an honest living. And by making an honest living, they're supporting themselves and pumping back the economy.
What's your reaction to neighborhoods that say, not in my backyard, Adams is trying to rent hotels and, landscape. What's your humanitarian view on letting us all kind of be one and uniting these communities?
That's why interfaith groups of clergy getting together and when people see community leaders and clergy getting together, coming to a consensus. That's why it's so important to involve the faith-based community in all of this decision-making, because we deal with a core of people, and that core of people have to hear the mission.
Yes, yes. Talk about, I know you've been in our Unity in Action campaign.
I proudly wear this. I proudly wear this button. Yes.
This is all Unity in Action, correct? We all mean with Mr.
Nice brochure over here. It has my favorite picture with the hands coming together.
Mark is really prides himself on his Unity in Action team, and he's always looking for ways to get new people, younger people, to join the team. How do we get this word out to younger people? You know, I understand volunteering, but what is the way of to kind of impacting the high schoolers and people who are taking everything for granted? You know, it's
you can't take everything for granted, and what I give Mark credit is Mark also works with our students. He allows the bridge to be used by, you name the organization, provided the organization is part of the, sees eye to eye with the vision of the bridge and making this a better world for making this a better world for everybody. Also, Mark, I've noticed by every single event we hold over here at the bridge. I'm also a proud board member of the bridge. I'm a proud board member of the Jewish Community Relations Council, JCRC. I'm a proud member of the Jewish Community Center standing on the JCC.
You're just a proud board member everywhere.
I'm proud board member everywhere.
Just everywhere.
Mark does in particular, he doesn't believe in the motto that children should be seen and not heard. And by every event that Mark holds, there are children having poetry contests, reading contests, essay contests. He does outreach with the schools. He'll work with our elected officials to bring the elected officials into the school. So Mark is constantly doing a 24/7 recruiting effort all over the city. Wherever Mark goes, his first question is there a school I could visit and bring the team down? And then he invites them to come to the bridge. So if you want to engage our youth, you've got to make the ability to bring them down to see what happens. And I could say, and Mark could fill in a lot of success stories, where people have come down to the bridge for a simple holiday party, which isn't so simple, where they were fed well, they had good entertainment, they had a good time. Coming aboard of the bridge, and we're developing a cadre of leaders because of that, because they had the opportunity to be hands-on. So in order to encourage, foster growth, and the next generation of people who want to do social justice the right thing, we have to bring them into the fold. It's very nice to have a party, but the party can't merely preach to the choir. You've got to leave your comfort zone.
100%.
You want a nice bouquet of flowers, you got to make sure you go all the forests, all the jungles, all the fields, and grab everything to get that bouquet. If you're missing that one flower, your bouquet is off. Right. And Mark's recruitment, his love, to send the message. And that model, I think, pretty much, which was unpopular or wow, what an idea, is becoming now not a pipe dream, but not an aspiration, but a reality. And that comes from a wise heart, intelligence, patience, and with the stubbornness, I'm going to get the job done.
Very much. What do you think are some things that we should do for the summer in our communities here in Staten Island, Brooklyn, throughout the city? What's some things that
we should encourage our youth to become lifeguards at their city jobs with the Parks Department.
That is beautiful.
We should encourage our youth, if somebody has in the office and they need some part-time help, the secretary is out or whatever administrative aid is out, let the high school kids come in to do the job. You'll be surprised how great the productivity is going to be. They want to please you. Let the kids feel important. Also, we should encourage block parties.
Yes.
And we should encourage now that COVID hopefully is behind us,
100%.
we should encourage people enjoying our parks, our beaches, our pools, just being ourselves.
I was on the train recently, and I saw some Jewish children, teenagers, just kind of like being themselves. They were playing some music and dancing a little bit, just really being New York City teenagers. And I was so happy to just see them in the community, engage with their normalized kind of city commute. And when they stepped off the train, the whole train was actually elated and happy. It was a beautiful sight just to see all of our diversity in action as young people and as a mom too, just watching our community engage with one another. I wish we could see more of that. I wish people weren't so surprised when we see different demographics just kind of like normalized.
I agree with you. And the only way to accomplish it is, going back to my comment, we saw the privilege to see Congressman Lewis at the time. The only way to break down barriers is by having the conviction to make a change. The conviction of talking to a stranger and finding an area where we can find common ground. Every group has a differences, like flowers, but there's a human side where unites us together as one. And that's the beautiful thing of the bridge. And we should be encouraged to follow the model of Mark, and I'm sure that Mark will be very happy I would say this. I don't have his permission to say it. If you need advice how to make a wonderful action of having a meeting place, Mark will give you, he will give you the trade secrets of the trade.
100%.
The secrets of the trade secrets, how to make it happen. 100%. Most important thing is you need to have the heart, the willingness to knock on the door, the willingness to be open. I'll give you an example. Right now, a few days before the holiday of Shavuot. Shavuot's the holiday when the Ten Commandments were given. Not by Charleston Heston,
No.
Accepted by Moses, Moshe Rabbeinu himself.
And you throw them down in Shamashank? I've been there. It's still partying.
It's still partying.
It's still partying.
They're still boogieing over there. But in all sincerity, all the biblical commentators ask a question. Why was the Bible given? Why was the Ten Commandments given in the desert? I know the bridge is a beautiful hall. In the bridge, it's nice, the hall, a nice festive scenery. But in the desert where there's scorpions and snakes and there's death and there's desert and it's a dangerous environment. And the answer was given is that God wanted to teach us two important lessons. One of the answers. One, have faith in your Creator. And the second part was to teach us reliance on each other. That all people should rely upon each other and help each other, be kind people, gentle people, caring people, compassionate people. And the way to learn it if you're in a desert.
Wow.
And that's exactly, we have to view ourselves, that we have to take the lessons when the Decalogue was given. And that lesson is form a bridge, form a neutral area, and if you need help how to get the job done, call Dorinda, call Mark. They will tell you how.
And call you, because you're on the board of everything.
But in all sincerity, you need to have the willingness.
Yes.
We need to create space and have the ability to say, you know what, maybe if I meet another person, I'll learn another cooking recipe.
Exactly.
Or I'll learn another song, another idea. I know I go to the bridge, I've learned all type of wonderful music, cultural ideas. I've seen kosher cuisine cooked, Jamaican style, Haitian style, Dominican style, Mexican style. You name the style,
It's
the bridge. And the only way to do it is by making the effort to reach out and touch someone. And once we have that effort, this will be a better place. Admittedly, everybody's different. Father and children is different from the same family. Fingerprints are different in a family. However, the common denominator brings us together as a bouquet of flowers. And if we stay to that mission, we will succeed. Now, over COVID, of course, we had a lockdown. And in the lockdown, it's very easy to be a bully on social media. It's easy to be a bully on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram, TikTok, whatever program you use. It's very easy to sit back behind a desk and be a big shot. Mm-hmm. However, and the worst comments happened.
Right.
Worst comments.
Tell me a little bit about a person who actually defaces property in a negative way and versus an attacking a person in a negative way, a religious way.
We gotta have to remember sometimes both are accomplished with the same gesture. And people have to understand that hateful comments, even comparisons of comparing COVID lockdowns to Nazi selections by concentration camps are painful. There are cultural feelings when words are used. Words have an effect, and the effect is horrible upon the recipient or a community that suffers so much pain. And all of us as different communities have suffered pain.
Absolutely.
We have to remember not the history of this country. When we had in Salem, Massachusetts, the witch hunts.
Yes.
And we have to remember not to become the oppressed, to become the oppressor. America, as the Mayor Adams would say, there's no French dream, Jewish dream, Irish dream, English dream, you name the dream. In every country in the world, there's American dream, because we tie that bouquet of flowers together. And that's what we have to focus on. And they have people like on the ground, boots on the ground, like Mark and the Unity in Action team that make it happen. So anybody could be anybody can be a maverick, a maverick, I don't know, maverick or maverick.
Maverick.
Everybody could be a maverick, everybody could be a maverick.
Right.
Pick the right one. However, you need to have the heart,
right,
the foresight to make the
to
change.
Execute, right.
And we have to focus on that.
So let's give our audience, thank you so much for coming. You're just amazing. Thank you so much. Let's give them a couple of numbers that they should know. If they would like to work at the pantry, they should reach you at?
The pantry became the social service arm of the Rabbinical Alliance of America, Igad HaRabbanim, and that would be I thought you 1-8.
I have 1-833. RAE good or 1-833-722-4483. And then if they just want to...
Well, shoot me an email at rabbi@igud.us, REBBI@IGUD.us.
And you're looking for retired social workers, you're looking for...
We want everybody. But unfortunately, many people have to go to work. Work interferes with volunteering. But seriously, COJO, which the food pantry project, the social services project,
yes,
we have no paid staff. It's run by volunteers who want to volunteer, who have the ability to volunteer.
Yes.
And somebody wants to volunteer for the food pantry and make a difference, we're more than happy to have you.
Lovely.
We have all type of people coming.
And this is also summer work too, right? This could be a summer volunteer. This is
Summer volunteer also, as much as somebody can.
Okay.
To quote the mayor, even a half hour a week, 10 minutes a day, an hour a week makes a difference. That difference makes a difference. And when the impact is felt, when the community sees our retirees having faith in the children, that gives the younger generation the hope. During COVID, now with the economy, the situation we're facing, the two most severely impacted groups are the senior population, because of the COLAs, the cost of living adjustments aren't there, inflation has gone up too high, right, and the second group are young families with children.
So these are our two demographics that are most
impacted. And even the working people. A working person who's working, even if they're single by themselves, there's a spike in the prices. The grocery prices are affected. The rent goes up, and the salary can be stretched so thin.
So no one needs to be embarrassed when they go to food pantry. This is affecting all.
There isn't a group in society, from Hasidic Jews to Orthodox Jews, you name the minority community, or any community in the city, that's not bleeding because of the economic situation. We're very lucky. We have a good mayor. The Mayor Adams is constantly working 24/7 to bring back the city. I thank God we have him right now as mayor, thanks to his efforts. The city right now is rebounding. But nevertheless, we have other national issues. We need the White House. We need the federal government to step in. We need now a federal representation, our senators, our great leader, yes, Majority Leader Schumer and Senator Gillibrand to step in to echo and amplify the request of the mayor to get us the tools.
Thank you all for tuning in. If you are any person in need, if any person who actually needs any of these resources, please reach out to Rabbi Mendy, reach out to the Council of the Jewish Organization, COJO, and if you need to reach out to us at the Bridge, we will happily help you make the connections. Thank you again.